unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego Unpacked. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder reveals some of the things he plans to do different in a rematch with Tyson Fury. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang notification gang. Please hit the bell icon. Shout out to Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We work in John Jones Fights Tonight. Get it? Use my link, ESPN Plus, below. It definitely helps the channel. You can also bundle it with Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, all together, all three for $12.99. Let's get it. Wilder is 2 weeks away from his fight. Rematch, February 22nd. It's a joint promotion. ESPN, Top Rank, Fox, PBC. Let's get it. I'm ready. Wilder spoke on changes he plans on implementing, and he said some real good stuff, so I want to make a video of it. Deontay Wilder says, and I quote, "I have to throw a lot more in general, for real. The jab sets things up. It sets the right hand up, the left hook and the uppercut, and everything you want to throw right after it. We're adding a lot more 2 and 3 punch combinations to the equation." Now, Wilder does admit here that he did some things that he plans on changing. He says, "I could never make myself calm down. A lot of things are going to be changed. It's going to be a totally different fight. I'm not going to be doing anything different in training, though. I'm doing what I know how to do. A lot of this stuff is muscle memory. We could be preparing for a lot of things during training camp that we're not going to use in the fight once the look is different in front of you." He said, "I won the first 4 rounds easily." He was doing a lot of taunting and little things to try to win over the judges in the end. I'm glad we had the judges that I had. The unofficial scorecard painted a different narrative to people that had the casuals who came into boxing looking at it like, what's going on? Also, looking at the fight, I was overly excited and a bit too anxious to do something that I know I can do normally on a day-to-day basis with my natural ability that I know I have. Instead of staying patient and letting it come to me, even when I had my guard up, certain things that I normally don't do in a fight and certain other positions, I always say, I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. And when it comes, bam, bam, good night. I tried to force it. I could correct a lot of wrongs into rights on February 22nd. Weight doesn't matter to me. He said, my power carries on from the first round through the 12th round. You have to train for focus, just like boxing. It's something you have to develop. If you can see, you can believe. That's when the magic happens. Fury said he's going to knock me out in the second round. Nobody in this room believes that. Listen, this is brilliant stuff from Deontay Wilder, and I'm telling you, I've always maintained, you know, this is an easy fight prediction for me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong. And I'm picking Wilder all the way, somehow, some way, preferably by knockout. You know, that's what I could see. But it's not even out of the realm of possibilities that he wins a decision. You know, they just uploaded the full fight from the first fight on Fox's YouTube page and then on Premier Boxing Champs with different commentary. The PBC one, on the PBC page, they had, I think it was just Ray Flores instead of like Paulie Malignaggi and the whole Showtime crew, stuff like that. And then the other one was the commentary free. And if you look at the fight, I didn't watch it, I didn't rewatch all of it, but I perused through it. But then they took down the no commentary one. It's like people get led into a corner based on bad commentary. You know, people like, oh, you know, I don't see how the judges are seeing it, but I have Tyson Fury winning the first 6-7 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I remember I was at the fight. I covered this fight, Credential Media, and I looked on Twitter. You know, I was typing my own tweets, commenting on the fight, and then just when I had the app open, I was seeing stuff on my feed after I published my tweets, and people were like, I gave Fury the first 9 rounds, or 8 rounds, I think it's 7-8 rounds. And I'm like, what? Where'd you see that at? You know? And there's a culmination of a lot of things, but this is that old media stuff. I don't believe old media one bit. They say they do a lot of jaw jacking and sell wolf tickets, but then when it comes down to it, they don't believe what they say. I believe everything I'm saying. I thought the first 4 rounds, definitely Wilder won majority of them, if not all of them. And for whatever reason, old media and other fans and stuff were giving Tyson Fury every single round. And he really, if you watch it, he really wasn't doing anything offensively. I think that Tyson Fury was afraid of Wilder's power. He was timid, and he had to work himself up to a game plan. And he had to stay out of the way and try to measure him up. And then Wilder was rushing his shots, as he's admitting here. And towards the fight, he was so eager to knock him out, it made some openings for Tyson Fury to get crafty and box well in the middle rounds. And then he got dropped twice, the second time being the infamous Undertaker thing in the 12th round. And the fight really should have been stopped there and could have been stopped. Most referees, if they see your eyes roll in the back of your head and you're not cognizant and you're not awake, why would you even administer a count? You just, let me see if this guy's going to wake back up. And even if he does wake back up, dealing with a nefarious puncher like Wilder, is he going to be in the condition to, protect himself? Now, I get it. Tyson Fury did it, and he survived the last 40 seconds of the round. But to me, that was a bad discretional call by Jack Reese, because you don't want to, more often than not, that's not going to be the case. And you're going to end up getting the fighter even more badly hurt. When you get hit this hard, it creates swelling in the brain. So any additional punches and trauma that you take, then that's going to increase the likelihood of having brain hemorrhaging. And I'm not a doctor, but it's going to increase the likelihood that you have some permanent damage or potential fatal damage. So to be honest, I don't think most people would deal with a known puncher. It wasn't like he was in there with Tim Bradley or something. You're in there with the knockout artist who does this to everybody, and you're like, hey, let me just count just to see if he can get back up and protect himself for 40 minutes or 40 seconds to a minute or whatever amount of time was left on the clock. So it is what it is, but there's different ways to look at it. I definitely didn't see, bottom line is boxing is, there's a lot of race in it. There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of people who, they prioritize, I'm this ethnicity, or I'm this race, so let me back this fighter because he's from the same place or the same ethnicity, nationality as me, blah, blah, blah. You could deny it. You could try to sweep it on the rug, but it's there. This is not like any other sport in terms of NBA, MLB, NHL, because hockey, baseball, basketball, rest in peace Kobe Bryant, NFL, these different sports are team sports. So you're rooting for a team. This ain't really a team sport. Boxing is the loneliest sport, because the corner, they could help you, they could train you, prepare you, give you good corner advice, but it's up to the fighter to figure it out. So that's just how people identify with it. If you walked into a room and you seen a black fighter and a Mexican fighter, and you don't know either guy from a can of paint, and you're black or you're Mexican, then a lot of people identify with the person that looks most like them. That's just what it is, and it takes a real special thought process for a lot of people to disregard that and the emotion. There's a lot of people that can't contain or control their emotions in life in general. So it takes something to be able to curb your emotion and be realistic. So I think, people are going to be in for a shock. I told you, I think Luis Ortiz 2 was more dangerous than the Fury rematch. And I just see Wilder winning. I think Wilder, I thought he did good in the first 4 rounds, but then he got too overzealous and over anxious, and he created some openings for Tyson Fury. Mostly for, the most thing is, it was not even that Tyson Fury was battering Wilder offensively. He wasn't really doing much offensively. He was making Wilder miss and look sloppy in that regard in those rounds. But it wasn't like Floyd. The difference between Tyson Fury's performance and Floyd Mayweather is Floyd, he has this famous quote. He says, if you make a mistake, you got to pay. Tyson Fury had Wilder, he was doing one step out of the procedure. He was making him miss and make it Wilder look sloppy and wild, and you know, Wilder started getting tired, you know, from that, exerting a lot of energy, not hitting your target. But he wasn't really making him pay. He wasn't like, he was just, you know, making him miss and stuff like that. And then, like I said, you look at the first 4 rounds, he wasn't really even doing much offensively at all. And all the liars and old media, they keep saying Tyson Fury won 10 rounds to 2. Listen, if you have 12 rounds to do it, you get knocked down in 2 of the rounds, those are easily scoreable rounds because there were no other knockdowns outside of Wilder's. So you have 2 10-8 rounds working against you. You didn't win all 4 rounds. You should have been ruled out, you know, when your eyes were rolling in the back of your head and you're unconscious, you know. And beyond all of that is, you look at the final CompuBox stats, Tyson Fury literally, this is not like my opinion, this is the statistical information. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And I don't always agree with CompuBox as, you know, a guide to everything in the fight, but sometimes it's smack dab on. And the reality is this: Tyson Fury landed 13 more punches than Wilder. So that's not masterclass, because you think Floyd Mayweather, when he fought Robert Guerrero or Canelo, you think that his percentages was looking like that? You think Floyd Mayweather only landed 13 more punches than what Robert Guerrero did? Hell no. You know why? Because Floyd is good on both ends, you know, offensively and defensively. So he was making Robert Guerrero miss, and Robert Guerrero was having trouble connecting. Plus Floyd has a high accuracy and doesn't have trouble connecting on his opponents. Tyson Fury wasn't that offensive to begin with, and you know, he made a miss, but like I said, the follow through with that, like it's like NBA. If you're on the other side of the court and you steal the ball and then you pass it down court and on a fast break, then the other person has to make the layup. That's, you know, it's like, what's the point of stealing it if you're not gonna, in creating this turnover, if you're not gonna capitalize off of it? So Tyson Fury, that's kind of what he did. He stole the ball and then passed it down court, but you know, the other part of is to shoot and score or go for the easy layup, since everybody's on the other end of the court. You know what I mean? Tyson Fury made Wilder look sloppy and miss, and was more defensively responsible. Plus, I think Wilder did some of that to himself as well. It wasn't just Tyson Fury. And, you know, that's what made the fight interesting. But I see this being a different fight. I think Wilder, he could tweak those little things that he's saying. And the last thing I'll say is this: Wilder sounds more realistic. His assessment of him sounds more realistic. In life, if you ask me, ego, more often than not, I'm gonna go and side with the side that sounds like they're being true to themselves and being truthful for themselves. If you sound delusional and deluded, and you're just saying then I can't really rock with that. And to me, Wilder's assessment of himself, he's mixing the good with the bad. He's not just saying, oh, I'm a knockout artist, so therefore it's an easy fight. He's not talking nonsensical. You know, he's admitting, hey, I was rushing my work. And it's weird because I know I do this all the time. I know I have power and I should just let it naturally come to me. But you know, the pressure and the pay-per-view, I couldn't get out of that rhythm. But I seen shots, and for some reason I couldn't get off. That's being realistic with himself. He knows what he's strong at, and he knows what he could work on. He's saying, hey, we got to let more punches fly, because my jab is going to set up the combinations, which is actually true. You jab, throw some decoy punches out, jab, you know, freeze your opponent, and then follow up with a hook, and then, you know, follow up with whatever, or get in tight, and then you throw the uppercut while at the right range, and you know, you encroach and get closer. You know, since Tyson Fury's almost 7 feet, 6'9". So to me, all in all, I just think Wilder sounds a lot more realistic with his assessment of himself, and that's a good thing. You know, even at the press conference, Tyson Fury's the one kind of doing a lot of theatrics. Wilder said a couple things, like he said, I might get on the turnbuckle and do a flying elbow, leg kick, or, you know, whatever. But all in all, I like Wilder's demeanor here. Tyson Fury's saying stuff that don't even sound realistic, as Wilder pointed out. Oh, I'm going to knock him out. He's saying I'm going to knock him out in 2 rounds. I mean, look through career-wise. Name one person that you feel is as threatening or as good as Wilder that Tyson Fury has knocked out in 2 rounds. Now listen to the question. I didn't say just name anybody he knocked out in 2 rounds. I said name someone you feel is comparable, as good as Wilder, or the same threat level as Wilder that Tyson Fury has knocked out. Because the only person I could even think of off the top of the dome is Tom Schwartz. And we know he was leagues below anybody in the top 10. He wasn't no top guy that had proven this. He hadn't really fought nobody. He'd been fighting in Germany. So if the only person where you've achieved this is like, just look at, let's say, I'm the king of analogy, so I'm gonna use an analogy like this. Let's say back in the day, if you had a hot music video, Hype Williams was one of the top directors, right? So he worked with all the platinum Jay-Z's and DMX and Nas and Aaliyah, whoever. So that becomes his resume. So if there's a new artist or newer artist, like let's say Chris Brown, and he's like, why should I work with you? Who have you worked with? Then Hype Williams could say, I worked with DMX when he was on top. I worked with Jay-Z. I worked with, whoever, all these top names. So now it makes sense that's your body of work. But you look at Tyson Fury's body of work, resume wise, who's he knocked out in 2 rounds? He don't have nothing. He can't say I work with this. I film video. Like if I'm directing videos now, I'm like, I've done a video for Meg Thee Stallion, The Baby. I work with Meek Mill. I work with Drake, Roddy Ricch, Chris Brown, Big Sean. That's your body of work. Where's Tyson Fury's body of work of knocking out anybody in the top 5, like a Klitschko who went the distance? Name someone even half as good as Wilder that he's knocked out in 2. So we unpack, coming to you live. I just like what Deontay Wilder's saying because it sounds realistic. Tyson Fury, like, I get trying to sell the show, but you can sell the show and be realistic. When Floyd Mayweather, he's the master showman, but he's not saying stuff. He's like, I'm gonna beat this boy. Oh my God, Oscar De La Hoya. Yeah, I'm gonna run 5 more miles. He's saying stuff he's capable of. But Tyson Fury, it sounds unrealistic. So whether you're trying to be a showman or not, it just sounds foolish to say he's gonna get the knockout in 2 rounds. And like I said, I deal with probability. Boxing, anything can happen, yes, but what is the likelihood of that happening? And then when you factor all those things in, it doesn't sound realistic, aka it sounds delusional. Like if I'm not known and I'm saying, hey, I'm gonna take Rihanna on a date by Friday, okay, anything can happen, right? But what's the likelihood of me being able to connect with Rihanna when I'm an unknown commodity in her world? I'm not in her industry, and I'm gonna be able to get a date with Rihanna in 7 days. Anything could happen, right? But it's not likely. So that's why I feel with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury saying a bunch of stuff and double talking, and I want to give Dillian White a fight, then he doesn't want to. Then he says he's not fighting Wilder twice. First he said the Wilder fight, I don't know why Wilder's telling people we're fighting. He's a bum, I'm not fighting him again. The world knows I already beat him. Then now the fight's happening. He's just too all over the place. And then on top of that, you're saying stuff like you're gonna knock him out in 2 rounds, but Wilder's a threat. He said he wants to stand in the center of the ring and trade against this monstrous puncher. All right, do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm back at Wilder all the way here. It just, what he's saying sounds realistic to the situation. He's saying I can improve in this. I want to throw more combinations, get that jab pumping. I was rushing my shots. I was too eager, and I got to let it just flow. Be like water, as Bruce Lee said. You see, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You see, water can crash and water can burst. Be water, my friend. And I can identify with people who give themselves and the world fair criticism, constructive criticism, not just some radical mumbo jumbo stuff that don't sound realistic. We unpack. coming to you live. Let me know what you think, how I did in this video. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.